Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the meeting of Almac-Haldeman Township to order at 12:33 p.m. and I'll start with the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Almac-Haldeman is located on the Mississauga Anishinaabeg territory, and it is the traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabeg. The Township of Almac-Haldeman respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda as circulated. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council session of Thursday, April 21, 2022 be approved as circulated. Have a mover, please. Councillor Hogg. Second, Councillor Philp. All in favor? Carried. Item 5 is our delegations, and our first delegation is from Paul Vandergraaf, Chief of Cobourg Police Service, and Carol Beauchamp, Executive Director of Rebound Child and Youth Services, Northumberland. And it's regarding Ride for Rebound Day. Be it resolved that Council permit Paul Vandergraaf, Chief of Cobourg Police Service, and Carol Beauchamp, Executive Director of Rebound Child and Youth Services, Northumberland, to take the floor to make a presentation to Council. Have a mover? Deputy Mayor Gibson. Second, Councillor Philp. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Paul and Carol will give you the floor. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to the expert on this first, and that's Carol Beauchamp, and she'll get us started for sure today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us here today. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Rebound Child and Youth Services, so I'll just give you a quick overview. Rebound Child and Youth Services is a child and youth agency. We serve the whole of Northumberland County. We serve over 1,500 children and youth and families each year. We engage with roughly 200 children and families every day. And we have our programs include mental health services, so that's counselling and therapy, youth justice diversion, literacy and learning help, parenting support, and trusteeship programs for older youth that are at risk of homelessness, but to keep them in schools. So we have a wide range of programs that are highly integrated. We serve, as I say, young people throughout Northumberland County. In fact, almost 60% of the people we serve are outside of Cobourg now. That's one of the advantages of our virtual reality. It's much easier for us to serve people throughout Northumberland now. And we're really excited by the prospect of the Ride for Rebound. One of the things that we work really hard to do is to offer dynamic programming and be able to respond to changes quickly. And that's where some of our fundraising comes in. But more importantly, the Ride for Rebound is to raise awareness for rebound so that people can access the services, because it's really important that when young people or their families need help, that they know they can reach out to us. And we're virtually working with our mental health services without a wait list right now. So that's really important. For those of you who may not also know, we partner with Northumberland Hills Hospital 2 days a week on the walk-in clinic, and we provide walk-in mental health counselling to youth at the walk-in clinic there, and also in the Colburn Outreach Clinic. So we are covering a fairly wide swath and bringing on new programs all the time, and very excited to be working with Chief Paul Vandergraaf as we work on the Ride for Rebound that's on May 28th. And I'm actually going to let Paul speak to that side, because he's the one that's going to use the pedal power to get the word out there. Oh.
Thanks very much, Carol. It's my absolute pleasure, Your Worship and Council, to be given this brief opportunity to talk about a very important event. The Ride for Rebound is first and foremost an awareness event. We'll be starting our ride in Brighton, working our way through up to Campbellford. I use the word up too. I just did it in Good Friday. It's all up. And then around through to Port Hope, finishing with our key sponsor here in Cobourg at Play It Again Sports. I started this last year when I recognized as chief of police the impact that COVID has on everybody in our communities, but more importantly on the youth. And I really felt that there was a lift up that was required. And I took on biking as a bit of a COVID thing for myself. So we did this ride last year as kind of our introductory tour. To be clear, we had asked, why is the chief of police involved in something like this? Well, there's lots of good reasons. I think Rebound is a tremendous organization. They do a tremendous amount of work, but most importantly, the folk at Rebound who work for Carol are the truest example of crime prevention. The linkages between literacy, self-esteem, and inclusion and criminal youth involvement cannot be misunderstood. The higher the rates of youth isolation, low self-esteem, and illiteracy are going to equate to higher crime rates. So we can continually chase our tail around crime or look at the grassroots of creating opportunities for success, both pre-charge in the Under 12 initiative or post-charge in the Youth Diversion Court. So that's why as chief of police, I'm putting my legs to power, if you will, and we're doing the ride through the county. Our real goal is to reach out to the communities that may or may not know what Rebound is. And when they see us ride through with the cruisers and everything else, they maybe ask 2 or 3 questions, and hopefully somebody would Google us, see what it is. In the interim, if we can raise a few funds for Rebound, that's amazing. Rebound will use these funds directly to serve youth in our county, not in Cobourg, not in Port Hope, throughout the county. Every dollar raised in this goes directly to programming. It doesn't go to pay Carol's salary, it doesn't go to pay anything else. It goes direct to programming. New, innovative virtual programming is kind of what Carol used some of the funding for last year. That really helped our youth move through the second phase or third phase or whatever phase we're at now of this pandemic. So really our goal was to get to all the councils. Hopefully you'll see fit to see May 28th as Ride for Rebound Day. Help us get the word out about the need for support for our youth. And if you see me drive by on the 28th of May, feel free to go up a little bit faster than me and I can hatch on your rearview mirror and drag for a few kilometers. That would help get me the 136 kilometers done. But Carol, I'm not sure if I covered it all, but I'll turn it back over to you if you need anything.
No, I think that's everything. Thank you. And, once again, thank you for hearing us today. And, we would love if you could declare it Ride for Rebound Day, because we really do want to get the word out there that Rebound services are available to youth, and it's rcys.ca. And we've already got a counsellor from Cobourg joining us. So if any of you feel like pedal powers in your cards, feel free to join. I will be riding that week, but not the 136 kilometers in one day. I'll do mine over 7 days. I think I can cope with that. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carol and Paul, for your presentations. And I'm sure we can help out. One way we can make sure it gets on our website, and we can also post paper posters in all of our facilities for people to read, and I'm sure there will be people interested.
Thank you so much.
Council, do you have any questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you very much,
Paul.
and good luck.
Thanks very much now.
And
Thank you.
Carol, good luck, Carol.
Item 6, we have a presentation by Jennifer Moore, CAO, Northumberland County, and Glenn Dees, Director of Finance Treasurer, Northumberland County, re 2022 Northumberland County Annual Update. Be it resolved that Council permit Jennifer Moore, CAO, Northumberland County, and Glenn Dees, Director of Finance Treasurer, Northumberland County, to take the floor to make a presentation to Council regarding the 2022 Northumberland County Annual Update. Can I move her, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson and Councillor Booth. All in favor? Carried. Jennifer and Glenn, you're on.
Thank you.
And welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. It's good to see everybody. I think we've made this presentation to this group many times before. You are probably fairly familiar with this. So similar format to what we've done in the past. I'm not sure. Do we have the presentation available? Does everyone have it available? I think it was sent through to the clerk. So, all right. So I will just let you know as I'm flipping through the slides, so you can keep up. But I think most of it you'll certainly get the gist of it just from me speaking. So going through the presentation outline, as I said, it'll be similar to previous years. I'll talk a little bit about what we achieved in 2021 and then what we're working on for 2022, and Glenn will talk a bit about the financials and just hit those highlights. So very similar format to last year. We do have one slide that just talks about our mission and vision. That has not changed. It's been consistent now for a number of years. And we still have the same vision of bringing together people, partnerships, and possibilities for a strong and vibrant Northumberland County. And of course, our mission is about being a best practices leader in county government and collaborative partner with our member municipalities as well as our community partners. And then we have our four pillars under that, and that is the format of the presentation as we've done in the past. We'll talk about some of our main achievements and objectives under each one of those pillars. Because we're still dealing with COVID, I will talk a little bit about what we did in 2021 with respect to COVID specifically. We had to continue with all of our regular operations, but like everybody else, a number of specific initiatives responding to the pandemic. The county staff did an excellent job as they responded and took on those challenges. So very, very proud of what they were able to do. Some of the highlights of unique responses that we had to the pandemic over the last year and a bit. Our social services team did launch a program called Northumberland Eats. That was a partnership with the United Way. You may be aware of this. Those food vouchers were available throughout the county. That program has actually successfully transitioned so that it is now being operated by the United Way. And what it was an opportunity to get food available to help with food insecurity across the county. It's a meal at a restaurant that you could use the vouchers for, or to purchase food. So giving another means of folks to get a healthy meal. But a great launch and very successful there. Of course, childcare services did have to lead 2 rounds of emergency daycare services for frontline workers as there were school closures. We also got a little bit creative, and our IT department did some digital literacy work, and they did that outreach program. And that was really targeted at some of the folks that were finding themselves doing more online than what they had in the past. And they needed to be aware of some things about security online and some of the things that they should know when they were communicating. And that was very well received by the residents of the county. We can't omit the Golden Plough Lodge. Of course, they were very busy and there was a lot going on there with infection prevention and control. They did an excellent job as a staff team in keeping the residents safe. It's been a very rough couple of years, but they are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's been trying, but they're now up to their 4th booster for most of the residents and continue to work hard to keep them safe. Our paramedic team saw a lot of activity COVID related. They of course were doing their base business, but in addition to that, they saw some very unique types of PPE, the powered air purified respirators. There's a great picture there on one of the slides of those. They look like they're a spacesuit, but they were excellent resources in keeping our paramedics safe so that they can continue to deliver services uninterrupted and keep their, it also allowed their face to be visible to patients rather than having the masking that we were using in other areas. Also, the paramedics got very involved in the assessment centers and vaccine distribution throughout the county. So they were doing a lot of in-home vaccinations as well as participating in some of the clinics. And I know they worked with municipal staff in getting those first doses out. We also did a lot of work in the vaccine rollout, and we were quite creative. It was something new for us. The county doesn't have a call center, but when we needed to reach out to our 80+ population, we created one in our council chambers and used our social services staff, and we reached out to about 3,300 individuals to get those first appointments for their vaccines. So one of the things that we are proud of is how flexible and innovative the staff could be when we needed to deliver some of those services that we just don't normally do. Of course, the public works team continued on with their services, and a key part of that was waste and recycling, and a lot of outreach through Facebook. And our team there, many of you might have seen the post that Dan Orr does, and he got an award for that through his Facebook Live series on education for the pandemic with recycling. Flipping over to the next slide around the pandemic, of course, tourism was a significant focus area, and the shop local or the hyper local type campaigns that we were doing, trying to support our local businesses, but also minimize the impact of people moving about the province. The Business and Entrepreneurship Center, they kept working, supporting our local businesses, particularly with the Faster Forward Summit program that they have been working on. So continuing to enhance that program. A lot of work to make sure that we were not going to miss out on any speeding ticket revenue or other provincial offenses fines. So the team there were able to get the court services up and running virtually. And we were bragging a little bit because just in the last few weeks, we've had our first hybrid court, and we were one of the first in the province to get that up and running successfully. And the JP was very happy because we pulled it off. And that's giving folks access to the courts that they have not had now in a number of months. As I mentioned, a lot of communication for all of these activities. Also, partnership was really enhanced as part of the Ontario Health Team Northumberland. We were there at the table and we helped with the vaccine pop-up clinics, hosting the virtual forums, excuse me, and then also getting that information out to the residents. And we saw things through the pandemic launched, like the Outreach Center in Colborne. So the pandemic was very busy. It did jumpstart some initiatives, and we were quite pleased to see what we could do. So I'll switch a little bit to our base operations and what we'll do. So I'm now onto the slide, a look back, 2021 in review. And I'll just go through a little bit about each one of the pillars, some of the key initiatives that went forward in the last year. One of them, excuse me, is the launch of the construction for Elgin Park redevelopment. That is located at the corner of Elgin and Darcy Street in Cobourg. There have been county housing units there for many years. We've actually seen the demolition of those, and we're seeing the redevelopment. We're moving from 18 to 40 units of affordable housing. And we are pleased that last fall we saw Habitat for Humanity go in and do, prior to demolition, they were able to pull out any materials that they could sell in their restore, I guess, and could be repurposed. So trying to look at creative ways that we can maximize that when we do this type of project. We also announced a second affordable housing initiative on Ontario Street in Cobourg. This will be a 62 unit build. It is in the pre-design phase right now, but we did announce that we have a partnership with Ontario Aboriginal Housing and Habitat for Humanity, along with the county's housing corporation. So very excited to see that move forward as well. Also last year, we did some work around the economic recovery post-COVID. I had mentioned about the Entrepreneurship Center and what they were doing last year. They helped support over 50 businesses, which created about 108 new jobs. So really working with those folks on their digital footprint. We also saw 26 new food businesses launched through the OAFBC. So again, very exciting work there. Supported the women entrepreneurship strategy. We were leading on that, and about 225 women led startups across Northumberland and 4 other constituencies in Eastern Ontario. Also, along with that economic renewal, focusing in on some of our tourism assets, and in particular, the tourism wellness experience. And we know that's particularly relevant for your municipality, where you do have some businesses, and that is very much their focus in attracting tourists, and with a focus on how their wellness, the outdoor experience, that sort of thing. Talking about sustainable growth, excuse me. A number of activities there, much of it around our official plan, updates and amendments. So of course, the natural heritage system, that guide was developed. It's about preserving and enhancing our significant natural features and areas. So that has been incorporated into the OP. We've also launched last year the update process, which is the growth management amendment to the OP. And you'll hear about that, the Northumberland next, and we've done a number of consultations already, and that will continue through 2022. Also, Glenn will speak a little bit later. We did an update to the countywide development charge last year, and that was in response to legislation, but certainly proving to be effective as we're seeing development pressures throughout the county and giving us that insurance that growth is paying for growth. Also with the county forest, again, very much relevant for your municipality. The forest management plan was developed. It was officially approved in 2022, but very key to how the forest will be managed over the coming decades, looking at it as both a cultural and recreational asset, but also the environmental components and the logging of trees for revenue. So combining all of that and blending them together is quite important for us. We also did significant work to advance the broadband in Northumberland, and hopefully we'll have some information to share in the coming days on that. The construction for the Golden Plough Lodge in Northumberland County Archives and Museum got into full swing. Those that have been by the site lately, you'll notice it's up out of the ground. You're seeing lots of cement and blocks and things being built. It took a while for many months. They were working on the underground, and now we're starting to see just what that structure is going to look like. And of course, that will move us from 151 beds to 180 long-term care beds in the community. We did a lot of work on our public works, so various roads projects. One of the larger ones was the Dartford Bridge rehabilitation, as well as a number of safety opportunities. And for those that go to Brighton very often, the railway crossing on Prince Edward Street has been a safety concern, and there's a significant work there, and we're hoping to see that construction completed this year. The design works were done last year. Moving on to thriving and inclusive communities. Here, again, a lot of work around community safety and well-being. Of course, there was the consultation and development of that plan. Now we're moving into the implementation stages of that. There was a fair bit of work done through community and social services with outreach. The social services relief fund from the province through COVID was able to see us implement some new and different programming, things like warming rooms, in partnership with Greenwood Coalition, St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Coburg, as well as St. Peter's Anglican Church and Transition House. They partnered over the past 2 winters to make sure that there was facilities available for those that were either homeless or in precarious housing and needed that sort of outreach. With affordable housing, we also launched our capital incentives program. So earlier I talked about some of our own affordable housing builds. We've also implemented programs in 2021 to try and incentivize the private sector to do more affordable and attainable housing across the county. And then, of course, we've talked a lot about community paramedicine, and we did receive funding in November that allows us to launch the community paramedicine long-term care program, and that will see us getting out into the homes of seniors that are on the wait list for long-term care homes to make sure they're getting some of the supports that they and their caregivers require to keep them safely in their homes. For leadership and change, this is some of the items that are maybe not quite as out in front or as public, often behind the scenes, but important nonetheless. We did change the governance structure of county council. Last January, we moved to a committee structure, more openness and transparency as far as how decisions are being made. And that is working quite well. We did have a participatory budget program last year. I got to say that a few times fast. And we'll, that was to seek some public input and contribute to the budget. We did significant work on our IT infrastructure. We certainly heard how much the focus was on cybersecurity, and that was really accelerated through the pandemic. So we did a lot of work on our own infrastructure. We won a Marcom Gold Award for our financial report, and we certainly encourage anybody to take a look at that annual report if you want to get a good overview of what the county has been up to each year. And finally, as I did mention, we are part of the OHT team, and a lot of work there, and the new outreach clinic in Colborne has been very well received, as well as the work that we're doing with our paramedics in the community paramedicine and the volunteer support programs. Looking ahead to 2022, many of those programs will continue this year. As I mentioned, we received the funding for the long-term care community paramedicine program. So we'll see that launch in the next little bit. We're getting equipment and that sort of thing purchased now so that we can see ourselves getting full force out into the homes and providing that service. A lot of work happening again with the community safety and well-being plan implementation. For those, I believe you've seen a presentation, but the 4 key outcomes of that were around homelessness and affordable housing, substance use and addictions, poverty, employment and income, and mental health. So those overlap with many of the base services that we're providing, and there'll be a lot more coming on those as we work with community agencies to implement some responses to those concerns. The early years team continues to work very successfully on Indigenous programming and expanding that educational component. And as I said, we have a lot of work that we're doing with the OHT, and that group is in the midst of doing a strategic plan. And we'd certainly encourage everybody to join those consultation groups and provide that input, because it is really about our healthcare and how we collaborate in provision of those services across the county. I had mentioned the Elgin Park redevelopment. So those buildings have been, half of them have been demolished, and we'll see phase 1 construction start very soon. They're in the permitting process right now, and they will be building quickly. We'll see the continuation of the construction of the GPL. We're continuing on design work this year for the Campbellford Bridge, but in the meantime, we will be doing the replacement of both the Thompson and Loomis bridges. Those are bridges that are currently closed due to safety concerns. And as I mentioned, we're working on the official plan update. So there's a fair bit happening across all of those activities. We'll also be working on our multi-year accessibility plan. We're working on our asset management strategy, and that's something that's been underway for a number of years, and we'll have that ready this summer. The social housing strategic plan and the social housing master plan will be critical to how we're going to maintain and develop all of those assets, as well as where we're doing expansion across the various communities across the county. And also a lot of work happening behind the scenes for our IT infrastructure, and the importance of getting that into great working form to keep ourselves efficient and safe and secure. So that is a whirlwind tour of some of the highlights. I'll turn it over to Glenn for a couple of slides on the budget.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Your
All right,
turn, Glenn.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So you should be at a slide now that reads by the numbers 2022 county budget. And I'm just really going to provide a brief summary here, primarily on the county's budget, as well as on our long-term plan over the next 2 slides. And primarily what it's doing is it's highlighting information from our budget infographic that you can also find on the county's website. So if you flip over to the next slide, you'll see, and then again, this is from our infographic, you'll see at the top right that the county levy increase for 2022 after growth was 3.1%. Of this, 0.4% or $250,000 comes from the new annual hospital grants that were approved by council, and this is going to continue on for another 4 years. So this is the first year of 5. This then leaves the increase specific to the county coming in at 2.7% for the year. And this is further broken down to an increase of 0.8% for dedicated infrastructure investment, and then a 1.9% increase for the county's base levy. At the top left on this slide, you can see that the total county budget is just over 181 million. So by no means is it a small municipal budget, and 63 million of this is funded through property taxation. Similar to what we saw last year for 2021, we continue to see a significant amount of the budget attributed to capital, and primarily this is driven to a large extent by the GPL redevelopment project, with this really being an extraordinary one-time project, and it is funded by a combination of debt through Infrastructure Ontario, provincial funding, a dedicated county reserve, as well as development charges. So turning more now to the operating budget side of things, given there were several significant uncontrollable and committed items impacting on 2022, the base budget is really primarily a status quo budget, coming in at that base levy increase of 1.9%. So as an example, when we look at uncontrollable and committed items, the new waste collection contract and program, with this impact being realized over a 2-year period, represented a 1.2% increase on the 2022 budget alone. For further to this, there were significant impacts from the annual health unit increase, as well as an increase in insurance costs, which was a common challenge really for all municipalities in Ontario looking at increased insurance costs. I'll just touch quickly on the first graph that you see on the slide here, where you can see that the county is very much heavily reliant on grants and subsidies, estimated for the year to be 47.4 million. And this is really for funding various service areas and program delivery, primarily items such as Ontario Works, childcare, social housing, long-term care, and paramedics. And primarily this comes from provincial ministries. So if you flip over now to the next slide, again, this is from the infographic, and what we're focusing on here is the county's 10-year financial plan, and it's specific to the capital portion of our long-term model. So at a very high level, the model anticipates approximately 355 million for major capital over 10 years, including the recurring annual transportation construction program, but we also have some large, extraordinary, one-time projects that are either underway or contemplated over 10 years. And these are items such as the GPL redevelopment, and as Jennifer had commented on, expansion of the county's social housing stock. So many of these capital projects were identified within the county's first county-wide development charge background study. So as Jennifer had commented on, the county really is now well positioned to source some much needed financing from development charges, and really with the goal of ensuring that growth pays for growth related costs. 2021 did represent the first full year of the new county DC, and it resulted in receipts of approximately 1.6 million. And we know growth is continuing across the county, so this really was prudent timing for the implementation of the county's first county-wide DC for financing some of the projects that you see here. So while mentioning capital, just a note on some of the cost escalations we are likely to see here from inflation, and certainly this is very relevant in the media. What we're looking at from the perspective of construction, the latest non-residential construction price index for the GTA, this is a measure of inflation in respect primarily to non-residential construction activities, is actually sitting at 15.3%, so very, very elevated. This is going to create challenges for the county and all municipalities when updating your long-term financial models, as well as looking at your upcoming annual budgets. And on the operating side, it's no different. The latest CPI measure came in at 6.7%. Just a note on COVID from a financial perspective. It's anticipated in 2022 for the county that there will be sufficient provincial funding to offset any pressures through items such as Safe Restart funding, various iterations of social services relief funding, and various pockets of funding from the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care for paramedics and the GPL. I'll just close out with the impact on the average home from the county's budget in 2022, and it's approximately $38 for the average residential homeowner in Northumberland as the impact from the county's budgetary increase in 2022. So that is it in a very high level summary, and we could take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Glenn. Any questions from council? Staff? No. You've explained it well, Glenn and Jennifer. And thank you to you and your staff, because I know you work quite long hours on this and hard working to get that all done. And there was a lot to do this year. So thank you from our township.
Thank you.
And thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7. This is special council session minutes of March 17th and April 7th, 2022. Be it resolved that the special council session minutes of Thursday, March 17th, 2022, and the regular council session minutes of Thursday, April 7th, 2022 be approved. And there is a correction on March 17th, Pat. The name at the front is Mary Catherine O'Neill. You just missed her last name there on the front page. Thank you. Okay, do I have a mover, please? Councillor Phil, second. Councillor Booth, all in favor? Carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none?
Is this the Thursday, March 17th minutes?
Yes, they're on there.
Yeah, I do have a correction that I'd just like to address if I could. From the Recreation Committee meeting minutes on page 35 of 372. And it was the last bullet in the recommendation number 23. And the bullet says suggestions were made about a community hub in Grafton. I just believe that we discussed that, and that the word Grafton should, or that the location was not verified by anyone, and so that should be struck.
Yes, we did have that discussion. It was based on, it made the assumption there was a community hub to be in Grafton.
That's to be determined.
Correct?
To be
And that's,
determined. Yeah.
we decided that's to be determined.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay. Anything further? I didn't see Sherry. Okay. All in favor of those changes and those minutes? Carried. We're on item 9.1. It's report from David Dawson, Fire Chief, April 21st. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman concur with the Fire Chief's recommendation that Council accept the 12 new firefighter recruits who have successfully completed the Almac-Haldeman Fire Department recruit training program as 4th class firefighters for the Township of Almac-Haldeman. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hogg and Councillor Booth second. Dave, do you want to address anything here? That's good news for us.
No, it's great news. It's nice to see the new numbers come out. Certainly, it's increasing our numbers for our responses. And we've got a great new bunch to work with. So I thank council very much for accepting this, and we're looking forward to moving forward building the department.
Thank you very much, and congratulate those persons for completing that step for us.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, council? Carried. 9.2, a report from Dave Dawson, Fire Chief, replacement of the all-terrain vehicle for wildland fire. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Alma Calderman concurs with the Fire Chief's recommendation to sell expired apparatus for the purchase of a new all-terrain vehicle for wildland fire. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Phillips, second. Councillor Booth. Any questions for Chief Dawson? Councillor Philp?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair and through the mayor to Dave. Dave, what are we talking about here financially? Is the sale of the expired apparatus going to cover the replacement of the ATV? And if not, is this a budget item? Have you got a line in the budget for this?
Hi there. So no, there is no line item in the budget for this. What we have been doing is cleaning up some old equipment and liquidating it to try to raise some funds. Currently, we have about $12,900 saved. And with the sale of the old apparatus, which is the pickup truck 492, we're hoping to add another $8,000 to that. When we move forward, my recommendation is that we do what we can to raise the funds, and we come back to council after we've gone through this process to identify what we have. And also, we're looking at a couple other grant opportunities, one of which is through an insurance company, and the other is through Firehouse Subs that looks to do and support fire departments for these types of initiatives. So we're just trying to get the process started and then be able to come back to council with a report.
Thank you, David. That's clear. Thank you.
Anything further? No. I'll call for the vote. All in favor of their process? Carried. Good plan. Item 10, Building and Planning Department, and 10.1 is report from Daryl Hall, CBO, MBEO Planning Assistance, dated today regarding a refreshment vehicle approval. Be it resolved that the report from Daryl Hall, CBO, MBEO Planning Assistant dated April 21st, 2022, refreshment vehicle approval be received, and further, if council is satisfied with this, we'll approve it at your recommendation, Daryl, but I'll get it on the floor first. Can I have a mover? Jim, second by Deputy Mayor Gibson. Any questions for Daryl, or we'll just let him explain? Go ahead, Daryl.
Okay, well, thank you, and good afternoon, council. Yeah, this is just for a refreshment vehicle bylaw. It has to be, a license has to be renewed every year. This refreshment vehicle was there in the past. Last year, moving to a new spot at this location, which we approved. And they've completed all their conditions they need to meet in the bylaw. So I just need council's approval as per the bylaw states for them to move forward and us to issue their license.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'll take it the motion then is to approve. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
And we have one more from you regarding special events permit. Be it resolved that the report from Daryl Hall, CBO, MBEO Planning Assistant dated April 21st, 2022, special events permit application be received, and it needs council's direction. but it's regarding a car show, classic car show at 10914 County Road 2 in Grafton. And this same event was approved and held at the same location in 2019. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Philp, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson. Anything further? Anything from you? Mike, do you have a question?
I just have a comment. I believe that this was a non-event for the previous 2 years, but the 3 years ago, it was a booming success. And I strongly endorse this kind of community gathering. I think it's great for the community and it brings a lot of people together.
Good, thanks. Anything further, Daryl?
No, other than, yeah, like it stated, it didn't happen in the previous 2 years because of COVID, but it was there in the past. And as per the bylaw, they have everything. They just need council's approval. So.
Okay, they got it today. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Item 11.1 is Public Works Department. Report from Brian McMillan, Manager of Public Works, Park and Recreation, dated today. Re-upgrade to Montgomery Road for Assumption. Rico Rosali and Michaela Zakharoff. I'll read it out here for you, Brian. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Almac-Haldeman approve the request of Rico Rosali and Michaela Zakharoff to upgrade a portion of the road allowance on Montgomery Road to a full township standard, including a cul-de-sac acceptable to the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation. Excuse me. So an entrance can be developed off of Montgomery Road at concession 9, part of lot 18, registered plan 408, lot 27, former Almac Township, provided all costs are borne by the applicants, Rico Rosali and Michaela Zakharoff. And further, that the mayor and the acting clerk of the Township of Almac-Haldeman be authorized to execute an agreement at a future meeting between the township and Rico Rosali, oh, I thought that was an L, and Michaela Zakharoff for the upgrading of a portion of the road allowance between lots 18 and 19, concession 4, extending approximately 305 feet extending north on Montgomery Road. And further, that once the road is brought up to a township standard satisfactory to the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation, that a bylaw be passed to assume this portion of the road into the township system. And further, that the Manager of Public Works, Parks and Recreation report be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Phillips, seconded by Councillor Hogg. All in favor? Carried. That looked pretty straightforward. Did you have any comment, Brian, or you're good with that?
No, the report was pretty straightforward. Again, this is on Montgomery. We have this one that will be done, and council seen one a month or so ago that will be happening on Leach Road as well. And at some point there will be a similar one on Drope Road as well. So there's 3 of these that will be brought up to township standard that will be bylawed into the township road network that staff will then look after.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Item 12, 12.1 is report from Nicole Leach Bahoon, Treasurer, dated April 21, re 2021 budget overages. Be it resolved that the report from Nicole Leach Bahoon, Treasurer, dated April 21, 2022, re 2021 budget overages be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Philip, Deputy Mayor seconds. Gibson, Deputy Mayor Gibson. Any questions, Council, for Nicole? Greg? Deputy Mayor or Councillor Booth, sorry.
Yeah, I just had to unmute myself. Just a couple of maybe for Nicole, just for clarity. I'm looking at the, you're talking about the budget overage, right? I'm on the
Yes.
right. Yeah. it talks about there, Nicole, about the student wages for the Heritage Fund. And there was nothing budgeted for student wages. So could you explain maybe how they spent $708 when there was no budget for student wages?
Yeah, so absolutely. I did reach out to Bob Dean of the Heritage Committee. And you are correct, they did not budget for any summer student. However, a grant was received by Parks and Rec. However, there were additional hours available. And therefore our program director did reach out to Heritage. So some hours were used by the Heritage group from this student grant. The offsetting grant money was not reallocated to the Heritage revenue. However, I plan on making an adjustment to offset those costs prior to the final audited financials. We don't have the final adjustments in yet, so.
Okay, good, thank you. One other one that I just noticed right now, and maybe Troy could answer this, maybe it just has to go under a different line, but under ACC, Troy, it talks about $1,263 for Kelly's Excavating.
Yeah,
So that goes under different
go ahead.
line? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would think that would be snow removal. They take care of all the winter maintenance on the sidewalks and Roseneath. So I would imagine, without getting the detailed out of it, I would say that snow removal.
I think that's a contract, right? That they
Yes.
do.
Yes.
So would that come out of ACC then, or should we look at maybe in the future putting it somewhere where it just doesn't look right, because it says we budgeted nothing and we're 100% over because we spent $1,200. Does it go, would that go under building and grounds, or if that's for all of Roseneath, does it go under somewhere else?
I can work with Nicole wherever she wants to put it to make it more clear, I guess. But yeah, so it would be definitely for the snow removal of the sidewalks around the ACC. So wherever Nicole would like to see it.
Okay, thank you. And just one last one, and maybe Nicole can explain it. I don't understand it. Under the Roseneath revitalization, there's a comment then that says, unsure why this reserve transfer was budgeted for. There was $6,000 transfer or something. Maybe you can explain it, Nicole. I don't understand it.
Yeah, so I did discuss this with Troy briefly. It looks like at some point the Roseneath revitalization project was decided to have been complete, that we weren't doing any more with this. The budget was originally set up to be a break even. So because there was $7,500 in other costs, there was $6,000 that were to come from reserves to cover that. Since it was budgeted to be a break-even project, as you can see, there's a $903. It looks like that we are over at this point. I'd be looking at doing a transfer in 2021 from reserves for the difference of $903.05 to ensure that that still sits at a break even. And there's a couple of other items I just wanted to point out as well. In the admin section, in the analysis that I had attached, there was on the line that says capital admin building reno. It's second from last in the admin section. I had a note in there that said remove 15,000 for air conditioners. That was actually a note that somehow made its way in from the 2022 budget process. That should actually read that there is an overage of $7,000 due to a furnace that was replaced that wasn't initially budgeted for. And then up in the admin contract services line in the same section where I have image solutions agreement, 19,500. That item was covered by a transfer in from reserves from the modernization reserve that was approved by council, and that was for the scanner, I believe, for the records management project that's been going on within the clerk's office. There was actually a total of about $43,000 in the admin section. If you look at the revenues for 2021, that covered some of the overage and expenses in the admin section. So,
Any further questions? Greg?
No, just a comment to say thank you very much, Nicole and Troy. This report is exactly what I was looking for to show, the overages and everything like that. And it's very good to be able to, look at this as a counselor and look at stuff. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I'd just like to piggyback on that and say, then there are no surprises, and I like that, and I love the format, and it's a big step forward. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Nicole. I remember the conversation about the Student for Heritage, and it was late when they decided. So, and we had decided to do that because we had the extra dollars there with parks. Okay. Item 13, administration, and this is 13.1, report from Pat Kemp, acting clerk.
Sorry, Madam Chair, you're missing 12.2.
Oh, and I just read it.
And did you call the vote on the previous one?
Did I call the vote on the previous one? I thought so. All in favor? Carried, I did now. Okay, 12.12. Sorry, Nicole. This is report and presentation from Nicole on audit planning report. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman acknowledge reading the audit planning report dated March 31, 2022, prepared by Baker Tilly regarding the 2021 audit, and give direction to the mayor and one other council member to complete and sign the acknowledgement section on page 9 of the report. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Booth, and second by Councillor Philip. Any questions on this? Any comments? Nicole, do you wish to speak to it at all? It's pretty straightforward, I thought.
yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. This is an annual report that comes from Baker Tilly.
Okay, so we need one other council member to sign off on that. Deputy Mayor Gibson. Yeah, you got your hand up. You're good with that, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll sign off on that for you, Pat. All in favor? Carried. Oh, I'm on lucky 13. So now I'm back to 13, administration, and this is a report from Pat Kemp, acting clerk. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman approve the right of disconnect from work policy dated April 21, 2022, and further that all employees be informed about the new right to disconnect from work policy, and that all employees be circulated a copy of the policy by June 2nd, 2022. And as you know, this has come from the province as Bill 27. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Philp. Any questions or comments for the acting clerk? Because you'll have Bobby in. Sure. Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. The next one is committee reports, Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes of March 17th. Be it resolved that the Recreation and Cultural, Advisory Committee meeting, wait a minute, am I missing one? Okay, and then I got a different, okay. Be it resolved that the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority minutes of the Board of Directors of March 17th, 2022 be received and filed. Have a mover, please. Councillor Booth, second. Councillor Hogg. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Communications, 15.1. This is from Larry Sprike. Lucy, regarding Grafton Drinking Water System report. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Larry Spryka, Lucy, read Grafton Drinking Water System report, operations report, reporting period, December 2021 to January 2022, be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Philp, second. Councillor Booth. Anything you wish to comment on this, or we're good? All in favor? Carried. 15.2, correspondence from Bruce Highcamp, Geocamp Limited, re the Hamlet of Grafton Production Well Monitoring Program, 2021 Annual Report, Permit to Take Water, 5086-9 PM4A. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Bruce Highcamp, Geocamp Limited, re the Hamlet of Grafton Production Well Monitoring Program, 2021 Annual Report, Permit to Take Water, 5086-9 BPM4A, be received and filed. And further, that council accept the 2021 Annual Summary Report as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Philp, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson. It's quite a lengthy report. Lots of information in there. Would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment that I think you'll hear a little bit more when announcements and notice of motions come up. I'm sure Councillor Booth will update council on some good news from Bruce Heitkamp. So we'll let that go to announcements.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. 15.3 is correspondence from Maggie Darling, Director of Communications and Community Impact, United Way, re-community conversations on equity, diversity, and inclusion. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Maggie Darling, Director, Communications and Community Impact, United Way, re-community conversations on equity, diversity, and inclusion, be received and placed on the township website. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Have Councillor Phillips. All in favor? Carried. 15.4, correspondence from the City of Cambridge dated March 31st, corrected copy of resolution of council supporting a moratorium on the new aggregate operations. Be it resolved that the correspondence from the City of Cambridge dated March 31st, 2022, re-corrected copy of resolution of council supporting a moratorium on new aggregate operations be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Gibson, second. Councillor Hogg, all in favor? Carried. Correspondence from Enbridge Gas, April 12th. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Enbridge Gas Inc. dated April 12th, 2022, read notice of hearing at Haldeman Shores Community Expansion Project be received and filed. Could I have a mover, please? Counselor Philp, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson,
And I do have a comment.
okay.
Thank you through the mayor. Every member in the approach community by Enbridge received a package through the perlator process that detailed the project. I thought it was done very professionally, and it answered all of my questions, and a lot of my neighbors were very appreciative of the package. So they seem to be doing it the right way.
That's good. And I think they're having a day, they haven't had that yet, have they, Troy? Where they're going to set up so that anybody wants to,
That is correct. It
Yes.
actually is close to the community. So
Yeah.
Again, another good thing.
so that'll be good for people as well. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Correspondence. AMO Communications. AMO Communications, well, one's March 31st, one's April 7th. Poster of the candidate information session 2022 municipal elections. Be it resolved that the following correspondence be received and filed. AMO Communications dated March 31st, 2022, re-AMO Watch File March 31st issue. AMO Communications dated April 7th, 2022, re-AMO Watch File April 7th issue. And poster of the candidate information session re-2022 municipal elections. Could I have a mover, please? Counselor Philip? Second. Counselor Hogg, all in favor? Carried. Okay, item 16 is announcements of
Notice of motion.
and notice of motions. And Counselor Phil, you're first.
Okay, I don't have a lot to say here, but I do have a couple of items. I attended both the library board meeting and also the water board as well. So far this month, a couple more to go, but they're both very interesting meetings. And first we'll start off with the library. And I won't steal Deputy Mayor Sherry Gibson's thunder. She may wish to add to this, but on my short list was that the CEO review has been completed for 2021 and done very professionally by the chair, I must say. The next thing is that one of the library employees, Kate Sheehan, is retiring, and certainly on behalf of the library board, the director, and all of council, I wish her the very best as she steps into her new life of retirement. And so that is it for library. And then one other thing is that they're busy with program planning. It's going ahead for 2022. And then the other meeting was the water committee meeting, and I think I will defer to Councillor Booth as he is the chair of the water board, and he can fill us in when it's his turn. Thank you.
Thank you. It's his turn next. Go ahead. Do you have anything, Greg?
Yeah, just a couple of things. The Ganaraska Conservation Authority meeting, which was scheduled for this evening, was canceled by the chair and will be rescheduled. We did receive an invitation from them today to Conservation Authority members. Mike, you probably got this, and maybe the mayor did too, that the Ministry of Environment is holding a meeting on May the 2nd from 1 to 3 p.m. to discuss programs and services for conservation authorities. So that will be an interesting meeting to attend. I plan on attending. Myself and Mike did attend the water meeting yesterday for Grafton. In the report that we received from Bruce Highcamp, there was good news in there. For the last 13 samples, that he's been taking from the wells, they've detected very small ppm of BTEX, toluene. And this sample that they took just now in March, there was nothing. It was completely clear. No detection of toluene at all. So that's good news. If we can go the remainder of the year with very minute or no, not picking any of the toluene anymore, then we're looking at, it'll be a big help for us financially, because then we won't have to do 4 inspections or 4 testing 4 times a year. We'll be back to just once a year. So we're hoping for the next 3 that'll come up the same. And also in the December sample that they took, they got minute samples of dry cleaning fluid for some reason. And in this one in March, it was nothing. It was perfect. One of the best readings he's ever had. So we're hopeful whatever happened is going to continue to happen, and that'll be good for us. Myself and Mike did also bring up to the Water Committee, because there was a report to Council on February the 24th from Jennifer Current, the Grafton for Council to discuss with the Grafton Water Committee to have confirm the water system capacity and to do a water modeling. I guess they call it a water modeling. I'm not sure what the right word is, Mike, for it, whether it's a test or it's some kind of water modeling. And what it does, basically, Lucy said, is it will show us exactly where houses and that can go. It takes into consideration the size of piping. So it's not just a capacity thing of how many more houses you can add. It's where you can put them and what size of pipe and stuff like that. So Jennifer Current did want us to bring that to the Water Committee, and Lucy's going to come back to us next meeting in June to how much it would cost to have a contractor do that for us. And it's probably valuable information, is because I believe we have 3 now, maybe even 4 new things going on in Grafton with potentially more houses or development. So I think it's good that we find out exactly what our capacity is and where exactly these houses can go. And that was it for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hogg, do you have anything?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. I have a bit of a list again, but it's a quick list. I did get a letter from the Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. I mentioned it at our last meeting, but I just want to read part of it. It was dated April 6th. With key public health and health system indicators continuing to remain stable or improve, Ontario is cautiously and gradually easing public health and workplace safety measures, with all remaining measures, directives, and orders to end by April 27th, 2022. So that's the work deployment measures for Ontario orders will end April 27th. The patios order will end on April 27th. Temporary health or residential facilities, that regulation came into effect on April 9th. And that order will end on April 27th. So that's just for your information. I think I sent the letter out, but if I didn't, I will. But that's what came at that time. And she gave me another one. This one's from Dwayne Campbell at Northumberland County Growth Management Amendments, virtual consultations. This is regarding the Northumberland official plan update notice. The below notice is being provided to all prescribed persons and public bodies in accordance with Ontario Regulation 54.3/06. A copy of the proposed official plan amendment is attached for information. And we can put all of this on our website for people. There's a virtual open house Wednesday, April 27th from 6 to 7. A 20-minute presentation from county staff and consultants will begin at 6 p.m., followed by a public question and answer period. And the other one is the virtual public meeting Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 9 a.m. And a 20-minute presentation to the Economic Development, Tourism, Land Use Planning Committee and the public, and it will begin at 9 a.m. So a little shorter notice on this one for our next meetings. So Yolanda asked me to read that out, and we can put that on the website. There are some proclamations for this month. I'm just going to read them out. I'm not going to do the whole proclamations, just to keep you aware. Probably most of them you know. April 1st to 30th is Dig Safe Month. April 22nd is Earth Day. Kids like that one. National Volunteer Week is April 24th to April 30th. So I was talking to Deputy Mayor Gibson, and we were wondering if we could have an email go out to our volunteers, just thanking them for their hours and their service to Alma Calderman and to their committees, and possibly put that on the website as well. And do you need a resolution for that?
Yes, please.
Okay, we need a resolution for that, Sherry. Go ahead.
Mayor Latchford, I'd be happy to make a motion to recognize and honor all of the work and support that our volunteers have done, to help make our community a wonderful place to live. And so I ask that staff put a note of thanks onto our website and social media outlets, and also where possible connect individually with volunteers to give thanks.
I'll second that motion. All in favor? Carrie. Yeah, it could go up on our signboard too. April 28th is the National Day of Mourning. May 1st to May 8th is Emergency Preparedness Week. I thought maybe on our website as well, and a little note to the fire department for Emergency Preparedness Week. We might even read that one at our next meeting. Safety and Health Week 2022 is May 1st to May 8th as well. And we have to acknowledge this one on one of our meetings. National Public Works Week is May 15th to the 21st. Paramedics Week is May 22nd to 28th, 22, and we should acknowledge that one as well in our May. I'm going to give these to Pat. That's it. But I just wanted to mention them to you because our dates cross over. You can have that file. So there was a GO announcement this week for a pilot project in our county. It's $50,000. And this is to connect people to the GO in Oshawa. The actual stops have not all been chosen yet, but it's not only stops. There's some that is going to be on-demand service for those who have to get to work, so need to meet the GO train at a certain time to get to work and to get home. So it's to start in July, so we'll hear more on that. But we had the Honorable Minister Caroline Mulroney and MPP David Passini and Mr. Gutsty from GO all attended that announcement. and a few members from county council. So quite pleased with that because they've been working on it for a while. That's what I have today. I'm off after this meeting to the Ontario Agriculture Food Venture Center because there's an introduction of New Canadians and some of their food products. So we're going to go and sample some of those. And that's it for me. Deputy Mayor Gibson. Got anything?
I'd be happy to speak, but Councillor Booth had his hand up there.
No, you go ahead. I just didn't know whether the mayor was going to mention either about Ross Pool, either the mayor or yourself, Sherry.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Gail, do you want to have the honor of
Yeah. Okay.
informing about former chief?
Our former fire chief, Ross Poole, passed away on Sunday at the age of 91. And he was also the public works supervisor person for Alnwick Township for his career. And then he became fire chief in Alnwick. And when the amalgamation happened, he became deputy chief for Alnwick Haldeman Township. So he certainly served 24/7 and he served for a lot of years. His service will be visitation at the ACC from 10 to 11 on Saturday, this Saturday, and service at 11, and then about 11:45, it'll be internment at Cemetery. So they lived on Sheer Point Road. Him and Blanche raised 2 sons in the community. And, you know, he did a lot for the community. He wasn't only an employee in those 2 positions. He was on the fair board. He was on St. Paul's church board, and probably a few more things that I don't know about, but well respected in the community and best loved by lots of people. So it's a loss for us to lose Ross. And I think that the firefighters are going to be dressed and have a procession as he goes out through. So
Would it be appropriate that we could put that on the town website for people to know, or would we have to talk to the family first? Would they mind, or?
is there any rules for that?
Maybe I'll talk to the fire chief, as he's been the lead guy talking to the family and stuff, and I'll see what he says, and he can reach out to the family. So I know they didn't want a whole lot in certain areas, so I will reach out to our current fire chief.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll leave that in your hands. Oh, one other thing, are we working on an insert for the last tax bill? Information insert?
We will be, yes.
Yes, okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, Sherry? Your turn.
Thank you. And thanks for mentioning Ross Poole. I think, you know, we all remember him as a very quiet, but a very strong personality, and he did so much for our community. So extend sympathy to his family, and so glad that the department is getting involved. So I don't have anything more to add in regard to the library board. I think Mike has updated you on that, except to say that, you know, that is a board that is well chaired, and they've got some strong members. So just enjoying being involved in that. And again, yeah, best of luck to Kate Sheehan as she enters retirement. I think that's well deserved, and she's been a great employee through the last few years. I did attend for the first time this morning the Northumberland Chamber of Commerce meeting, Board of Directors. That started back up. So They asked for an update from the municipalities that attend. So Coburg does an update, Hamilton Township and ourselves. And I just thought I would like to mention to you what I'd brought forward to the board, because I think sometimes we forget about all the great work that, staff have been involved with and that, council has supported. So I think it's just a good reminder to us about, the great direction that Alma Calderman is heading in, and that, so I talked about our short-term rental bylaw in the public meeting that's being hosted on April 26th in Roseneath at the Alnwick Civic Center. Mayor Henderson from the town of Coburg said that they are also working on a similar bylaw and that he would be happy to do some information sharing back and forth with us. So I'll leave that with you, Gail. Talked about the public works renovation and addition that's happening starting next month, the Enbridge community gas expansion in Grafton, the construction of the memorial trail around the Haldeman Arena, and the accessibility that provides to the seniors that are living in Haldeman Court, the expansion of broadband, and some of the new building that we're hoping to have come again to Grafton. So, that community is really up and coming and expanding with hopefully the construction of some additional new homes. I did mention that May 2nd was the opening of for election for council and school board trustees. And just kind of put a bug in the ear for the chamber that, it was always well received when they hosted all candidates debate. So, depending on what the summer months bring, I'm sure that may be something that they get back involved in. So that's all I've got.
That's great. Thanks, everyone. Troy sent me hand signals.
I'll just give you a quick update. I just heard from staff that under the direction of the fire chief, it is already on our digital boards in Grafton and Roseneath. So therefore, we will put it on our website.
Thank you.
That's good.
Okay.
One more thing here as I look to my right, when you're in the council chambers, those of us here can see it, is the school board map that the heritage members brought forward to us at our last meeting. Liam, Bob, and Joan. And Tim has it up with some older looking hooks on it, and it looks really nice. So hopefully they soon can get in and see that.
Good. Looks good over top of your shoulder there, Jim.
Yes, there it is with Jim. Okay. We're going to go into closed session now, and motion to recess to closed session that the Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman will be recessing to a closed session under section 2392 to consider personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, with the CAO, acting clerk, and deputy clerk remaining in attendance at 2:01 p.m. Have a mover, please. All right, second. Deputy Mayor Gibson, all in favor? Carried. Bye. Can we stay on here or do we have to go out?
What are we doing? Are we logging off?
No, not yet.
We're going to try something new where we stay in, but only the people who are eligible to stay in for the closed session. Then we'll rise from the closed session. And then if there's any direction from council in closed session, then we'll be bringing it forward in open session and then confirming it with a confirming bylaw and adjourning.
You understand all that?
Trust me.
Just follow direction.
Yeah,
Just don't go anywhere yet till
we don't need to know, just.
Yolanda cut you off.
Just tell you what to do. I'm good at that, aren't I? I'm just gonna do delay send. Yeah.
I was gonna ask when council could disconnect, but I guess that's not really appropriate. Pardon? I got that one. Yeah.
So yes, do talk, just don't talk about anything.
Exciting. Oh, you can have it back. I'll give it back to you.
Pick it up. I think if I dress professionally, I seem to act more professional. Not working. Yeah, so.
Oh, God. Do you know who else passed away was Jennifer Burley? Did you know that? And her service is, I want to say April 30th. There's something else. I have at the same time with something else. So. She's on my, this, oh, no, she's young. She's Emily's age. 48. She's had quite a battle with cancer. Jim Burley, you know Jim and Linda Burley? Their daughter. Whether Yolanda wants to. But.
Hi. You been in today? Not today. Okay, so you need to do a screening once a day. Oh, okay. Yep. And then, yeah, you change your mask and then you put that on.
Greg, can you hear me? I've never seen that notice
Okay, so the word live stream.